Hello. Good evening, guys. This is a very spontaneous Facebook Live. I decided that we will um, have a couple of these before our Sunday service, where we will celebrate our first year anniversary as a church plant. And I I decided to invite my wife here because most often than not, people ask me, um, why don't they see my wife on the church video? Why don't they see my wife on the church video? And I say that she doesn't want to be in the church video. She just she's not particularly there. I mean, I don't want to say she's shy, but I just think she just wants to worship on a Sunday without being in a video. And I understand that because I myself can be like that to an extent where if I don't have anything doing, I won't be on television. Thank you, Uncle Eric, for your congratulations. God bless you. So we just want to come your way for the next 20-30 minutes because I can promise. Share our story of the church plant. So I don't know whether I probably should be asking my wife and how she has seen the whole calling into the church plant. How has been your experience? Because it's easy to only look at it from the eyes of one person. So I just wanted to share how your experience with the whole church plant has been. And you can start from, it should be as spontaneous as ever. You can start from wherever you want.
Generally, I'll say it's been a good experience. Obviously, for any of you or those of you who know my husband previous to the church plant, you would only really have to spend a few minutes in his company to kind of see this church plant coming. So it's something we've been together almost 11 years. We met almost 11 years ago and married almost 10 years this year. So it's something I've seen a long time coming, and I've been prepared for a long time coming, that it's going to happen. But the when wasn't too clear. There's a couple of times where, I thought maybe, and nothing, it was just a thought. And so, although I was prepared that I always thought you were going in this direction, I guess I had kind of settled in my mind that, oh, it's not now. So when we made the decision to finally step out there, it was quite scary, daunting.
Yeah, scary is okay.
Task,
yeah.
Thing to think about. That okay, we're gonna step out here. What's it gonna be like? I've only really ever been a member of one church, so I don't know how these things go. I don't know,
what it entails.
Yeah. Although I've been involved in the leadership of church, I'm not there at the fundamentals. Running one is a different ball game. And so, personally, I used to tell my pastors, like, I love you guys so much, have so much respect for what you do, and love you for what you do, but I don't want to do that. But I've seen that God has kind of slowly changed that stance, and I think once we made the decision to step out, I could see that God is starting to prepare us, change our thinking, change like the way we normally go about things and view things. So, but yeah, we've had an interesting 1 year.
Thank you. No, it's good. It's good. I just saw a few things there. Thank you very much, Pastor Emmanuel Abuaji of Kumasi City Mall CCC Church. God bless you for your encouragement. It means a lot to me. And one of my sisters in the America, Maud, who was with us in Cape Coast CCC, has written something that just brought back memories because I had actually forgotten that. She said, way back in UCC, I remember there's a prophet from ICGC who said about your ministry to the youth, and the word of God never fails. This is a prophecy I don't even think I've told you about before.
No.
Yes. I just went for program and this man called me, started speaking to me, and spoke to me actually. It's so funny, it's so coming back. And I'm not even that type of guy who's like, oh, so and so has said no. And he actually said he saw something in Europe, and actually thought, oh yeah, it's one of those guys, because I was not a European guy. I wasn't trying to come to Europe. So now my sister Maud is bringing it back. It's all coming back together, and if you know me, you realize that I'm not even trying to prove that God has called me. You can see the way we do ministry. It's just the way we do our lives. And listen, there's nothing wrong with everybody's calling. God knows their personality. And if God blesses you with the right spouse who will complement you, it's, even with this live thing we did, it's unscripted. It's not something we sat down and said, let's do this. God has blessed us with people who actually has sowed into our lives big old beautiful camera lights. We could have set up all up, but we have 4 children, 7, 5, 2, and almost 6 months. So we don't have the luxury of setting that up every day doing a live. So as soon as our last baby slept, and she slept right by here in her chair, so if she wakes up, she's there. So as soon as she slept, I said, honey, I mentioned it earlier that I wanted us to do a live and share our story about the church plan. So as soon as she slept, we literally just decided to step in here. I'm wearing my shorts. Thank God you can't see my shorts, so you think I'm wearing my jeans or no. But I'm just trying to say that. And of course, I didn't give my wife time to go and do her mascara and none of the stuff like that. I don't even know what a mascara is, but anyway, I'm just saying it.
That's for another video.
So, what I'm saying is that we are not particularly very conventional people, and God has always used that in such a way. So, the same way my wife said that she used to tell her pastors that she didn't envy their calling because she never wanted to be in this being a pastor business. I would say the same things to so many people. And it got to a time I even felt it was becoming an arrogant posture. I would tell people that people will ask me, do you want to be a pastor? I don't want to be a pastor. First of all, I got offended by that question because I would say that being a pastor is not a vocation. Being a pastor is not necessarily something you plan to do. I believe so much it was a call. So that was true. However, the posture I took was that I'm not going to be a pastor, which was also a bit of an arrogant posture, because you don't determine what you are going to be and what you're not going to be in life if you are a man of God and if you are a servant of God. So I wasn't trying to be a pastor. A preacher, yes, I'm a preacher. I even saw myself more like an itinerant preacher. And I loved the fact that I was able to help whatever assembly I was with. Gave it everything I had. Build people up. Preach, I can preach, but I didn't want the day-to-day responsibility. And maybe God exposed my I don't want to say laziness because I'm not lazy, but God exposed my lack of readiness to embrace that responsibility. So when this call came about 4 or 5 years ago, I did what I normally do. I just took my time, thought about it, prayed about it, and everything. And when the time came, I just knew it. There was no word from a prophet. There was no word in a dream. You just sense it. God deals with me mostly through His word. And I'm not going to go into... Yeah, Hannah, say something.
Yeah, although along the way you had some...
prophetic words.
Yeah.
No, of course. I've had many of them.
No, but I'm saying, especially leading up to, you had some...
Yes, I keep forgetting these experiences, even though they are very, very public.
So
even though they are very, very public, yeah.
Leading up to,
yes,
in those recent years,
a prophet came to our church and called me.
We weren't thinking about moving. We weren't thinking about stepping out at that particular time. So.
And I'm not. The thing is, I'm not even intentionally forgetting all these prophetic things.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not, because I was trained to take responsibility of what God says to you.
Mm-hmm.
Others may confirm it, but most importantly, if you are convinced of what God says, because you are the one who's going to go through the midnight hours or the challenges. Yeah. So I'm not conveniently forgetting it, but now you telling me.
I would say at that time you were not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Within yourself.
No, I wasn't.
Not that you weren't equipped, not that you
wasn't ready
do
to
it.
Step
you
out.
Wasn't ready to step out. You wasn't ready to move forward. But yet the words were still coming. That's what I'm trying to say.
And it's good you reminded me, because that's why we like spontaneous. This is not scripted. We don't even know where it's going, but God will lead it. And I'm glad because in this particular encounter, this prophet of God came, was preaching on a Sunday, called me forward, and he didn't say this. Did he say it in the mic? He might have said it in the mic. That's why you would have heard.
Maybe, because I know I.
He might have said it in the mic, but there was a time he put the mic off and said something to
you.
So he said that the Lord is calling you, and you know He's calling you. You know He's calling you. I started breaking down. If you know me, you know that.
He said that you have, like, I don't know if it's like, I can't remember if he used the word like a burden, but essentially there's a pressing on you. You know what He's calling. He was quite like, it wasn't just, oh, you know He's calling you. He was like, and you know what you have to do. That's when I broke down. That's when I broke down. My mind.
That's when I broke down, because before that time, I had started feeling that tug on my heart. And I remember the very place I was going to work. I was on the Piccadilly line, and as I normally do, I read my Bible. As I was reading my Bible, the word of God from 1 Peter just literally jumped into my heart. Being shepherds, being an example onto the floor. And I'm just thinking, like, I've read this word many times, so what does it mean? And I said, you know what? But it jumped into my spirit. I could not shake it off. I wrote it in my iPad. It's still here. And then I said, God, if this is you, you speak again. You confirm it. And it went on for years. So when this man of God came, you know the calling of God on your life. You know what God is calling you to do. I broke down because it all came back to me. And even after that, it took us a couple of years.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
Even after that. So what I'm just saying is that...
About 4 years.
Yeah.
Or 3 years, sorry, 3 years.
The call into this ministry, the decision was not taken lightly at all.
No, 4 years.
However, when it came for us to step out, it looked like it was unconventional because we had no meeting place, we had no people,
Yeah.
we had no venue,
We had no funds.
we had well, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
because
we had no
have a
we
meeting
had,
place.
we had no
We
church
had
plant
nothing.
funds because we were just involved in our previous church, and we were prayed for on the 28th of April, and then on the 5th of May we had our first service. And my desire was that we just start with our family, and we started our family because that was a tag God had already started putting in my heart, that if you start with your family, then we will build the ethos of the church. And I said, yeah, but I've been involved in thriving churches from Ghana. So it was not something I had seen somewhere.
Yeah.
So it
It's
had
not like
to
you
be.
could have gotten the idea from it.
No, because my pattern of churches, even in Ghana, I had been involved. It was about 200-300 people. That was it. So starting a church from your front room, not having all the trappings that make it look like real church, like I don't know. So, but I stepped out with so much peace in my heart, and we had 3 children.
Yeah.
6,
Well,
and you
one
were pregnant. You were pregnant, and we had 3 children. So, if it wasn't God, I must have lost my mind then. No, it's serious, because see, the last thing I had resolved not to do was sacrifice my marriage and my family on the altar of ministry. I wasn't prepared to do that. I didn't want to be that guy because I know my natural tendencies. People call it, I don't know what, type A personality. I'm an all or nothing guy. And most people don't know me. But if you know me, I'm all or nothing guy. And then there's this joke here, like, my wife keeps saying, oh, she wants me to come and play an online game. An online game, Ludo. And I said, no. And she's
with my family.
Yeah, no, we are not there yet. But just even inviting me, she just kept inviting me, and I said no. It's almost like, don't stir up, don't just leave me alone. And she's like, oh no, it's gonna be fun. We unlock, and then I started playing the game, and I got into my elements, and she's like, oh, but it's just me. That's just how I roll. When I'm doing something, I give it everything I have. So I knew that we had a young family. And the last thing I wanted to do was to do this church plant. Because I'm not going to start a church plant and not give it everything I have. However, the leading I was having was, this is the time. So as I sought the face of God, all he was trying to tell me is that you are thinking of, going to do this and then but it is starting with your family. And most of us have actually always had that narrative. What do you think? What do you think about? Most of us have always said stuff like, oh, the ministry is your family. But in reality, is it able to happen in most cases? At least in your case, what do you think?
I always say, well, let me answer your question, then I'll backtrack if that makes sense.
Fine.
So I think, yes, it can happen. It can happen, but it takes work for that to happen. It takes willingness from all sides for that to happen, because I mean, it takes commitment. And what I mean by that, when in your natural family, there's a commitment there. So whatever happens, you don't stop being family. You don't stop being brother and sister, mother and daughter, husband and wife, whatever the relationship is. You can't just all of a sudden turn around and say, well, that's not my family anymore. So I think it can happen, but in experience, there is always I think, a difference between being family and being like family. So being like family is like we're close, but it's not the same as my family, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but you see, the question I'm trying to say is that people normally say, they know the rhetoric.
So that's why I say it can happen. I believe it can happen where church can be.
That's not the question. The question I was asking was that most people understand the concept of the ministry being the family. So when people talk about ministry, they say, oh, the ministry is not just the church. The ministry is the family.
Oh, okay. That's like what I'm married to the ministry.
Yes. So the ministry starts different. The ministry starts with the family. The ministry is the family. So I'm not going to leave my wife and my children and go and preach to the whole world.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Is it easy? Is it something that people... Because a lot of people know that. But in practice, is it an easy concept?
Well, no, it wouldn't be easy. That would come with a lot of hardships there, because obviously then what will happen is your natural family that you live with will end up being neglected. So that wouldn't be easy, because you'd also almost feel like you'd have to tear yourself between the two, which it should never be between the two.
No, yeah, because I'm asking that because that's one of the things that I was determined to do.
Determined not to do?
No, I was determined to do, to make my marriage and my family my first ministry.
Yes.
So I was very determined to make my marriage, my ministry, my first ministry, not just in rhetoric, but in practice. So the test was going to be when we started the church plant.
Yeah.
The test was going to be that. And so even the decision to start from our front room was not a decision we took lightly at all.
No.
Because it wasn't fun. It's not a fun decision. It's not a fun decision saying that people, first of all, most people who have a traditional mindset about church may not even take you seriously. And it's not easy to have people walk into your home and call it a church. It can be intimidating to a lot of people. And we still know a lot of people who would love to join us. But we know that they are just waiting for us to rent a hall before they come, because there's a level of intimacy and there's a level of, I don't want to say vulnerability, but it strips people away from all the pretense of church. When you come to church in summer, because I remember the first day we started church, I thought the Holy Ghost was going to come on my children and they were all going to stop crying. It didn't happen. And I'm setting everything, I'm hoovering the place, I'm preparing, doing whatever. And then the children are children. They were playing in their house at 10 a.m. How are you going to tell them by 10:30, 11 that this is a church? So Jordan should not do his train set here anymore. They should not bring the Legos here anymore. This is going to be a church. it was not easy for their mindset. And when they dressed up, they were always going to church. So that first day was difficult for all of them. So I remember my son and they were just all over the place. And I didn't want them to, because I think we're live streaming, so I didn't want them to be, even if we're not live streaming, I didn't want them to disgrace us. I don't know what disgrace means when children are being children. So I was getting wound up, and my wife is just trying. So I was like, and I was getting wound up because it's difficult. So I just had to tell myself after a couple of weeks that if we are going to do this, let us do this as authentically as we can. Because the same culture that I was trying to create was a culture of authenticity, not because I had any reason to believe that other churches that met in a home and organized were not authentic. But I believe that we wanted the culture of the church to be so organically a family church that we had to pay the price. We had to pay the price of me preaching and my 2-year-old is running.
She wasn't 2 then.
No, I'm talking about that Sunday, like last Sunday.
Yeah, now, but
no,
she wasn't 2.
Definitely. Then. But just examples of stuff like that. She going up and down. And
wanting to swing on the lights.
And then knocking the camera down, and you are preaching and you still have to keep going. And then mom, who probably was just breastfeeding, had to usher her out because she's just screaming up a storm. But in all these things, we have resolved to embrace the training that comes with it. So this is a Rumble in the Jungle session, but that's just how we roll. But we just wanted to tell our story. So God willing, maybe tomorrow or Saturday, depending on how things go in our house, we will come your way again. But I want to do another session. Just share about our journey so far. And all we say, we are thankful. How we are able to... Hello, Fatima. God bless you. How we are able to be happily married, be on lockdown for the last almost 7-8 weeks.
Well, I was on lockdown before.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about us. At least 7-8 weeks. Have 4 little children. Do church every Sunday, including the Sunday after you had Zina Ray. So my wife had a baby on Monday, and it was an elective cesarean session. And on the next Sunday, by the grace of God, she was home. We had church service. I think it was one of the most...
I think I came home on Wednesday.
Yes, it was one of the most actually peaceful services we ever had with a new baby. And so this couldn't have been by dint of hard work. It couldn't be because we were so special, we're so patient. You know what I'm saying? No. I just think when God calls you into something, and by the grace of God, you have the courage to obey, He stays with you. And one of my indicators of being in the will of God is having peace. And by having peace, I'm not saying that there is no conflict. There is no challenges, of course. And I'm not saying any of that. But I'm just saying that in the midst of all that, still having peace and joy in your heart.
Yeah.
That's one of my indicators. So I want us to end here. Thank you for coming with me. I've always wanted to do it. So you guys just encourage my wife to do a lot more lives with me. I've always wanted to encourage her to do lives with me. So hopefully maybe she'll start doing a lot more with me. Or she'll start, well, anyway. She said she wants to do her own. But she's done her own too. But I like it because, especially with the story of the church plan, I want... Thank you, honey. Thank you, honey. I want the story to be told through the eyes of the couple. And I'm not saying this, and I'm just saying this just to clear the air. She's not a pastor.
No.
The way you're saying no, it's like she's not a pastor. We are not the pastor and pastor, Mrs. No. That's not our calling.
No.
I felt the call, and she came along with me. For me, that means a whole lot. If she felt the same call, that there will be. But she said, I believe in you. And so for me, that is even a lot more encouraging, that she knows what God has called me to. And she says that I will stand with you and support you within my own right, with the giftings God has given you. And I want to thank you for that. I appreciate that so much. It means a lot to me, because if everybody else, if every prophet had confirmed my calling, but you were not convinced, it would have been a struggle. So the fact that you believed in this calling, and didn't just believe it in deed, but you came on board.
Yeah, but that's after a decade of history together.
So maybe we'll talk about more of that tomorrow. But I want to thank you for that. I don't take it for granted at all, because I see the way you support this ministry on Sunday when you are doing even rehearsal for praise and worship, and you do it with everything you have.
Yeah, my YouTube band.
Exactly. And even with how you prepare notes for the children's church, and we just used to have our children just for a long while until a couple of other children came. But you gave it everything, and that means a lot to me. So thank you, honey, and thank you for standing with me. God bless you guys for joining us. We're going to end here, and God willing, tomorrow or Saturday we'll come here again with our journey, 1 year of God's faithfulness. So we want to thank God for that, and we also want to thank you guys for standing with us and always encouraging us. God bless you. Bye-bye.